Welcome back to 535 News. I'm Paul Kane, Congressional reporter for Notice, and we're joined here today for a really fun and important discussion. First with Chad Pergram of Fox News, usually covering the beat here just like me, but also tomorrow night he will be in the booth for FS1, Fox Sports 1, as the color analyst of the Congressional baseball game, where on the field, the Republican skipper, Roger Williams, Congressman from Texas, just outside the Dallas-Fort Worth area, will be defending 5 straight victories. So, tell us about this game and how important it is to the culture around here. What does it mean to, a lot of people will probably think, oh gosh, how silly, a baseball game.
Well, it's important around here. You know, you got to go back to 1913 or 1909 when the game actually started. It's been played that long, but it's good for the culture around here because we need bipartisan things to happen up here. This is one time that we do it. And you know, baseball itself as a sport has been at the right place at the right time in American history, all the way from the Civil War forward to when President Bush threw his pitch out, and we all remember the World Series back at 9/11. Mm-hmm. So it's important, and you know, it's amazing too. I think that of all the years that the game's been played, I think Republicans have won 5 more times. Yes, so the game's pretty even.
47, 42, and 1.
Yeah,
there
you go. And 1. There was a tie.
But we're going to change that again tomorrow, and we got the same team we had last year. We were pretty good last year.
Okay, and now the event does, you know, last year I think they sold 31,000 tickets for Nats Park. The game's grown in its popularity. More and more people are going to the game. FS1 broadcasts it now,
right,
in addition to C-SPAN. But we're raising money for a local charity, right? And it was a couple million, or
44 charities.
44.
And they raised $2.8 million last year. I'm told they've already hit $3 million for this season.
Wow. Okay.
It's a good number.
It is a good number.
44 is a good number with the Atlanta Braves.
44 is a real good number.
Pete Rose.
Yeah. How did you explain how you ended up as coach, and what have you done with the team that might have been a little different when they were in that losing streak?
Well, yeah, I mean, everybody does it differently, but when I got asked to take the team over, I decided if I do it, I want to do it the right way. We're going to run it like spring training, like we did in West Palm Beach, Florida with the Atlanta Braves, and everybody's going to have a role. We're going to teach them the basics of the game and not overcoach them. And I had a lot of guys liked the sound of that, and they said, well, I played in high school, or I played here, played there, and we brought them all together, and you know, we've played really good the last 5 or 6 years, and I think we're giving the fans an entertainment, and I think a lot of people are coming tomorrow to see us win.
How many practices do you go through?
Well, we start around March 1st, and we practice every day we're here. We're on the field at 5:30 till 7:15, and it's pretty good, and everybody gets dressed and goes be a congressman.
Have you been over to any of the practices?
I have. In fact, I was invited to come to the practice the morning that Scalise was shot in 2017. They used to practice very close to my house in Alexandria, Virginia, and it was the day before the game, and that's the reason I didn't go. But I've been to practices as far back as the late 90s and early 2000s, and we had 2 crews that came out to both the Democratic and Republican practices this year.
And I think too about the importance of the game. I think the shooting had a lot to do with it. It put a lot of people on notice of the game and what can happen and the goodness that comes out of it. So I think it had a lot to do with the jump start we see right now.
It really did. There was a surge that year of just people knowing about the game, and they sold, I think, 5,000-10,000 more seats like the day after the shooting for that night. But then it was the way the teams all came together before and after around the pitcher's mound, Democrats and Republicans alike sort of kneeling down and praying, which really sort of brought the importance of that moment home. And from what
one of the most amazing moments I have seen in baseball history, and I've been to an awful lot of Major League games. I was there the night that Pete Rose broke Ty Cobb's record. I've been to World Series games. Was Steve Scalise came back and played the next year. And on the very first pitch, he was in the field. Raul Ruiz, who's a Democrat from California, hit a sharp ball right to his right. Scalise was in the field. This is a year later after being shot. He made a stab at it, got it, and threw him out at first base on the very first pitch. I've never seen, you can't write that stuff. That's Field of Dreams stuff right there. That's
no,
the natural.
There's no question, and he was in a position where he couldn't move. I mean, where
He
we
threw
put
from
him,
his back.
Yeah, wherever we put him, that's where he was going to be. And the ball that Chad's talking about came right to him. He fielded and threw from his knees. And it kind of said, well, he's back, we're back, baseball brought us together again, let's go.
Is Scalise, I assume he's going to play again?
Oh yeah, he's our leadoff hitter. He leads off, and I think last 3 years he's led the game off with a single up the middle.
He's hurt again, though. He's got a foot injury, though, he said, right?
Yeah,
his foot was in a boot.
He's got another foot. He got 2 feet.
Do you have any new players this year that have come along either through special elections or somebody who wasn't around last year and couldn't have time? Is there anything new about the lineup?
We have the same team we had last year.
Okay.
I mean, we literally do. And so we're going to play with that. But of course, you brought it up, and Chad's talked about it. Everybody's excited about Mark Teixeira coming next year. He won't play this year, but the former Yankee, great, will be in Congress. He'll be playing first base in the Congressional baseball team. So a lot
Can
of
he
people
hit
talk
congressional
about that.
pitching, though? Do you know yet? You know, some of these guys coming up from the minors, you never know.
You got to give him a test. We'll see in spring training how he hits. You know.
There's a legendary story from the 80s when Jim Bunning, Hall of Fame pitcher for the Phillies and Tigers, got to Congress, and I think he blamed his Republican teammate for not being able to catch his stuff. And the word was actually that Bunning really had just kind of lost it as he got older, and just once that magic is gone as a pitcher, it can be gone. Let's talk about your background. You were at TCU, you were drafted out of high school to play, but instead you went to Texas Christian University, graduate from there, and you get drafted in the Braves organization. That first season, I looked up the stats, you batted .318, this was in rookie ball, .318, had a .399 slugging percentage, 40 RBIs in 69 games, but the next year you got hurt. How much, and that sort of sent your career sideways?
Well, it did, and but yeah, I got hurt sliding into first base, which I never did. I always went feet first, but I slid in head first at first base, and when I did, my arm hit the ground, it popped up, hurt like heck, ground out, I went out center field, I couldn't throw the ball. So that began my demise, and then they wanted me to move me to second base. The problem with that was I didn't have anything on the double play coming from third to second to first. I knew that. They offered me a job managing. I took a job scouting and took a job coaching at TCU for the next 3 years and so forth. So an injury cost me, but it also helps me because I can always say I didn't make it to the big leagues because I got injured, you know. But I got to play with Hank Aaron, Rico Carty. The night that Hank broke Babe Ruth's record, I was there. So baseball's been a big part of my life, and I'm grateful for it.
Okay, Chad, you have this book with you. Tomorrow night, you're in the booth. You got like crazy man scribblings in there?
This is the master book.
Because this isn't like a normal game.
Not at all. And this is what, back to our friend Pete Rose. He said that the easiest place to hit was the major leagues. The lighting is better, the pitching is better, the umpiring is better. If I was going to go down and call a Nats game or a Reds game, I would say, well, they were just in San Diego and they're on a 4-game losing streak. The Reds they lost to the Cardinals, whatever I would say. There's not a lot of information on this, let alone the stories about the players. You don't know somebody's history, and you have to dig this stuff up and the history of the game. So my wife, who is my statistician, God bless her, she helps me put together this massive book that has all sorts of statistics and stories, individual lines on things, little scribblings that I've added over the years, tales about different things. And so during the game, I rely on this. A few years ago, I called a Washington Capitals game, and my friend John Walton, who's the voice of the Capitals, who called this game for 2 years with me as the play-by-play guy, I asked him how much time he prepares per broadcast. And he told me 7 hours. Now, 7 hours is taking notes, doing interviews, watching, there's a lot that goes, same here, not all of it's just sitting in front of the computer, but it's kind of the same thing. I ran into one of your players last night who had pitched last year, Pat Harrigan. I asked him if he was going to pitch, and he said, no, I think I tore my labrum, So that's some of that preparation. He said he'll probably play in the field, right? Probably hit, but he's not going to pitch. He pitched an inning in relief last year. So that's part of that preparation that goes on.
Well, and having him do the color also is another moment that elevates this game up. Fox Sports, Chad doing the color, it just all's coming together right now, and I think each year is going to get bigger and bigger.
Are there any Democrats that you're particularly worried about that have been good in the past? Their pitching went very south when Cedric Richmond left Congress to go to the Biden White House, and so their pitching hasn't been as good. But do they have any batters that you're particularly worried about?
No. I just think I worry about our team, and I think like if we throw strikes, we keep the ball, we play defense, we're going to be fine.
I think you said this to roll call, that you tell people that the game is exactly like the Red Sox versus the Yankees, except a lot slower.
It's in slow motion.
You know, that's the funny thing, sitting up in the broadcast booth. And there was a fly ball hit, center field, and it was over the head of Jimmy Panetta, who played center field last year for the Democrats. And he's a pretty good athlete, certainly for a guy his age. His dad, Leon Panetta, the former defense secretary and congressman, played in the game as well. And just watching Panetta go back on the ball, and this is not an indictment on Panetta, versus a major league center fielder on a field that big, it really strikes, okay, these guys are just not as fast. It really shows you the difference between a casual athlete in his 50s versus a major league athlete, say, who's 25.
Well, and the age catches up with you in baseball. I mean, you can lose it pretty quick. Your arm goes first, your legs go, and what happens is you get older, you run on your heels rather than your toes. If you're an outfielder, like I was, and if you run on your heels, the ball will bounce like this, and that's when you see him drop it. But it's just being younger. It's a young man's game.
But do you worry, this happens in politics, if there's a wave and one party wins, they generally tend to get younger. Mm-hmm. So do you have any worries about the midterms? Obviously you want Republicans in the majority, but are you worried that you might lose some players and all of a sudden the Democrats could bounce back and be strong next year?
Well, that could happen, but I can't control that. What I can control is what we got. And we're going to coach the heck out of them and coach them up. We don't coach them down, and we'll just see what happens.
You're running for another term.
Yes.
That gets you 2 more years. Are you thinking that, just two more games after this and you'll retire?
I haven't thought about that. I do, but I do want to, and Teixeira is a friend of mine. I do want to coach him. I think that'd be great to coach him, and then, we all know this, we've talked about this, but the Japanese have a team like we have. Mm-hmm. And we're in
the Japanese diet, right? Their
exactly.
parliament.
And we're talking about a home-and-home series with the Japanese. Tokyo Dome and here. I mean, we know we can put 40,000 here. They say they can put 50,000 in Tokyo Dome. I think it'd be great.
I've seen a game in Tokyo Dome before. Yeah, the Yomiuri Giants against the Hiroshima Toyo Carp, whose logo looks just like the Reds logo as well.
So, we may end up playing more than one game.
That'd be amazing. All right, that's all the time we have for now, but when you guys go to Japan, Chad and I are on our way with you. We will be right back with a discussion on civic renewal and shared purpose with someone who comes from a different office than you are used to. We'll be right back.